Hey Grimli, I've seen a lot of your videos, and I usually agree with you, at least generally. And I do definitely agree with the Rome analogy. I think you were referring to the Roman Empire before the Roman Empire fell and basically tore itself apart. From what I gathered, I'm not as cynical as you are about this country. I do feel that there's a problem with the leadership. I really haven't been political very much most of my life. I did become more political right on the day of September 11th. Just really involved in current events from that point forward, because I realized that to be to be interested in politics was it seemed to be a chasing your tail type of situation where you really aren't going to get a particular truth or the facts of the matter. You were just going to get salesmanship and propaganda, right? Uh, and that changed on 9/11 for me, just because I was more interested in what was going on and and the arguments about 9/11 and things like that. Generally, I just think that uh, this administration is pretty much a rogue administration. It seems like, although to say that they should be impeached, or Bush or Cheney should be impeached, is I would think is pushing the issue, because it's a bigger problem than Bush and Cheney. I mean, the administration had to have some type of support from a lot of different entities, you know, like the Senate and Congress, and even foreign governments like the United Kingdom and Germany, right? It wasn't just out of the blue. It certainly wasn't a surprise to a group of clients that I have. I'm primarily Arab myself, and I have, because of that heritage, I have a lot of Arab clients. And those particular Arab clients, a few days after 9/11, were telling me that somehow the events of 9/11 would be somehow the attention would be diverted to Saddam Hussein. They predicted that, and I really wasn't paying much attention to what they were saying, because it just seemed like a stretch. You know, if a few days after 9/11 nobody was even sure Osama bin Laden did it, was responsible for the planning of it, then to make this crazy jump from Saddam Hussein to, from Bin Laden to Saddam Hussein, that seemed outrageous. That seemed like, what the hell were these guys talking about? I thought they were just, talking shit. Basically, I didn't realize that they had some insight into the whole situation, and apparently they did, because exactly what they said happened. Somehow Saddam Hussein was put in and was lumped in with that group of terrorists. I mean, it just seemed outrageous that these particular clients of mine who made this prediction a few days after 9/11 predicted that Saddam Hussein would be the focal point of this administration, and they're going to use 9/11 attacks to justify going into Iraq and overthrowing Saddam Hussein. Which anybody in the region, or who knows a damn thing about anybody from Iraq, would know it's the best thing for the Iraqis, for Saddam Hussein to be removed. To take it further, the arguments that were made to go to war were outrageous, but no matter how outrageous, as far as weapons of mass destruction, because I mean, North Korea had weapons of mass destruction, and they weren't letting anybody in to check out the development of their weapons, and Saddam was. So the threat obviously was greater in North Korea. So the argument, weapons of mass destruction, was irrelevant because of the UN involvement, active involvement in that country. Now, of course, other people will say that there was other mandates or ceasefire agreements or treaties or whatever the hell they're called that were broken by Saddam Hussein. And that wasn't the major selling point. I didn't ever hear about those things until it was confirmed there wasn't weapons of mass destruction, so they just brought up other things that somehow justified after the fact that they still needed to be in Iraq. It's definitely unfortunate that they're still there. It's definitely unfortunate this administration's just, has one of the lowest approval ratings in the history of probably the United States. And even though they shouldn't be impeached, I definitely believe in the process. We have a great process that indicates that it's even possible to overthrow your leader, your chief executive. That's great that we have that. I don't think it'll come of anything. I mean, too many people are involved. I mean, the people they would cause to impeach President Bush are the same people that voted for him on the thing that they would impeach him for. So they'd be hypocrites. So that is it's not functionally possible for one part of the government to admit their hypocrisy and then take it out on the head figure. I do agree that George Bush and the administration is probably one of the worst Republican administrations we've had. I've never agreed with George Bush being the president. I didn't even see how he could be the president. I thought John McCain would have been nominated to run against Al Gore. Actually, I don't even know how the hell George Bush got to be nominated. So, I think ultimately, this country does have bigger problems. The people aren't paying attention. Sure, they're being taken advantage of because it's easier to fear something, especially when you're not paying attention. If it's when this fear mongering goes on, you're going to have the drones who are very interested in not losing whatever they think they have. In this case, I suppose life is the threat, correct? So the drones are worried about losing their life. They believe they have something to lose. As you said, they just are into being entertained and fed. It's a very general, basic, accurate description. It takes a hell of a lot more than what we have now to maintain the traditions that this country was founded on. It's going to be hard to get it back. It always is. Once the government takes something, it's a real pain in the ass to get it back.